I am so glad I am not in the league right now. I'm coming to see your game. I'm coming to see you take off like that in real life. I ain't seen nothing like that before. I saw a shot get blocked by John Morant, and I was like, oh, he about to break his neck. I thought he was about to break his neck on the backboard.
I don't fear nobody, dog. I don't care if you 7'7" or whatever. I'm coming straight at you.
Talk about it.
You are now tuned in to Above the Rim.
Hoops talk for the streets. Family, what's good? Welcome back to another edition of Above the Rim. Hoops talk for the streets. You already know how we do. Brought to you, as always, it's your host, Justin, a.k.a. Just Blaze. Family, you know the drill. To get in contact with me, you can always hit me up and follow me on Twitter at JustBlaze_513, on IG at JustBlaze513, on Facebook, search Above the Rim Podcast. Email the show as well, Above the Rim NBA Podcast at gmail.com. Tap in and leave the family a voicemail. The line is always open, 908-718-1592. Cop your merch, as always. New colors, new flavors. Appreciate the love and support as always, family. The link is in my bio on all social media platforms. Easy to find. Make sure you go cop that. Solo episode this week, family. No special guest this evening. I wanted to discuss a few things that have been on my mind going into this NBA season. At the midway point of this NBA season. And let's get right into it, man. Let's talk about it. So this episode, I want to start off talking about my NBA All-Star picks. It's about that time, family. I know people don't realize it's already midway point, halfway point of the season, but it is right now. All-Star voting ends at the end of this week, I believe. So I wanted to get some of my picks on wax. And I'm going to be honest here, man. I had to actually think about a lot of these All-Star picks, man. There aren't a lot of players who have really, really wowed me this season, if I'm keeping it a buck. But leading vote getters right now, KD and Steph. Usual repeat offenders. Usually it's LeBron up there, so I'm a little weirded out that LeBron is not up there at the top. But it's KD and Steph in the East and West. So they're probably most likely going to be the All-Star game captains and most likely picking their rosters if they are doing that again, which I believe they will. So All-Star, let's get to it. Here are my starters and my reserves for the All-Star game for the East and West. And these are my picks for who I think should be in rather than who I think will be in, because we know there's politics as usual when it comes to the NBA All-Star game. So the East starters, let's start off there. Gotta go with Embiid, the big fella down in Philly. Phenomenal season. Gotta go with KD as well. Phenomenal season. Gotta go with Giannis as well. Phenomenal season. I think those are the three easy locks for the Eastern Conference starters. Rounding out my top five of the Eastern Conference starters, I have DeMar DeRozan over there at the guard position. Even though it's weird that he's listed as the guard. He plays a lot of forward, but for some reason the NBA has him listed as a guard. So we're going to go with DeMar DeRozan as a guard. And for my last and final guard spot, hear me out, family. Give me LaMelo Ball in that final roster spot for the All-Star reserves on the Eastern Conference. Hear me out, man. 19-7-7, leading the Hornets in assists and rebounds. It would be points also if he wasn't tied with Bridges right now for scoring on the team. Only playing 31 minutes a night. He definitely can play more than that. Hornets have above 500 records. They've been playing pretty well this season. Sixth or seventh in the East right now. The Hornets are pretty much basically 6 games back out of the number 1 seed. I mean, the East is very tight. Think about it. The Hornets is a team that's second in the league in scoring, third in the league in assists. And this right here, me picking LaMelo Ball to round out the top 5 is not a diss or a slight to Zach LaVine, James Harden, Trae Young. We know those brothers are going to be in the NBA All-Star game. But for my particular list, give me LaMelo Ball rounding out that top 5, man. And I think he's been having an exceptional season for the Hornets. Another leap forward this year as well. So give me LaMelo Ball in the top 5. And let's go to the reserves, man. The reserves, talked about before, got to put LaVine in there. It was tough for me in particular to put, not tough, but I just didn't want to have 2 Bulls in there, LaVine and DeRozan rounding out the top 5. So I wanted to, throw a little wrench in there, do something a little bit different. And I want to put LaMelo Ball in there. So obviously on the bench coming on reserve, we got LaVine as the number 1 reserve. We got James Harden up there as also a reserve as well. Those are 2 reserve locks. Also in the forward spot, Give me Jimmy Butler. Give me Jason Tatum. Also, give me Jared Allen from the Cleveland Cavaliers. Fear the fro, man. Listen, I know there has to be an all-star from the Cleveland Cavaliers because they've been playing well this season. They definitely deserve an all-star. You could go Darius Garland. You could go Jared Allen. Some people love the young kid Mobley. But for me in particular, I'm going to go Jared Allen because I love the Cleveland Cavaliers defense. Is starting the Twin Towers with him and Mobley. The marketing going in at the 3. I love the way this young, hungry Cleveland Cavaliers team is playing. But for me personally, I'm going to go Jared Allen. For me, needed another big on the Eastern reserves, and there are a lot more guards that I could choose from in the East. So I'm going to go with Jared Allen, rounding out that last spot. And also in the reserves, Trae Young has to be round out that spot, and Bradley Beal also as well. So those are going to be my reserves: LaVine, Harden, Butler, Tatum, Allen, Trae Young, Bradley Beal for me. It was tough because the couple of people that I had on the fringe on the East side, I had Siakam is having an all-star caliber. Yeah, he's been rounding into form. My man Vleety out there in Toronto also has been having an all-star caliber season. It was tough for me to leave him off. It was between either Van Vliet or Bradley Beal for me for that last guard spot. But I gave it to Bradley Beal, even though I wouldn't mind if Vleety gets in there also as well. The Raptors have been playing excellent, and they are in prime playoff position as well. So that could go either way. And Chris Middleton also, I feel like he also has an all-star bid as well if you want to go there. And he actually might get in because I told you before, it's politics as usual. So the Bucks were just in the finals. They just won a title. Never know if that's going to happen. So we'll see, man. The East, I feel like have a lot of choices. You can go Darius Garland there as well. So the East have a lot of options that you can go when it comes to the East All-Star team. Rounding out to the West. Let's move up to the West. The starters for me. Got to go with the Joker. Got LeBron. I got PG-13 in that third spot. Paul George, Steph Curry, and I got CP3 rounding out the top 5 for my starters in the Western Conference Finals. That third forward spot is kind of tricky where I put Paul George because some people may try to penalize him a little bit for missing games. But I feel like the games that he has played this season, it was obvious that he was an MVP candidate. The Clippers were playing, the middle of the pack Western Conference team, but still better than expected without Kawhi Leonard, with a lot of their pieces missing. So for me, I think he personally should be back before the All-Star break. We'll see, because there have been conflicting reports coming out of LA on if he's coming back this season, if he may sit out the rest, who knows. But if he does come back, I would personally have him in the top 5 in my Western Conference starters. So we'll see there. Rounding out the reserves, Ja Morant. Gotta be Ja Morant. Number 1 reserve for the Western Conference. Devin Booker also rounding them out and for the guards in the Western Conference reserves. Draymond Green, I got there next to him. The Warriors are playing absolutely exceptional. Top 2 record in the West, top 2 record in the entire NBA. So you got to give Draymond a lot of credit for that. I'm going Karl Anthony Towns here. Listen, I know some people are a little bit down on Karl Anthony Towns. This might be a little bit because you got to have 3 forward spots. Remember, in the Western Conference, you got to have 3 forwards. So my 3 forwards: Draymond, Karl Anthony Towns, and I'm gonna go DeAndre Ayton to round out my forward spots in the West. Even though obviously DeAndre Ayton is the center, as well as Karl Anthony Towns, but 3 forward spots in the West. I'm going with those 3. Ayton. Suns get 3 All-Stars. Ayton is giving you 16 and 10, 60% from the floor. So he's having a great season as well. He has been injured a little bit lately. Now he's gotten hurt again with a little ankle sprain. But for when he's playing, Ayton has been much better this season. And I see him playing a lot better. So you can kind of go anyway with that last spot. You could go Ayton. You could go Gobert. Me in particular, I'm going Ayton there. And for the 2 wildcard spots in the West, got to go Luka. Got to go Donovan Mitchell, rounding out the West reserve. So in total, Ja Morant, Devin Booker, Draymond Green, Karl Anthony Towns, DeAndre Ayton, Luka, Donovan Mitchell, rounding out the West. So those are my picks for the NBA Western Conference All-Star. Unfortunately, in both conferences, you have to have a certain amount of guards, got to have a certain amount of forwards. So there's a couple of players on the fringe, too, or the fringe All-Star team, and there's going to be a lot of snubs this year in particular. Some of those snubs I wrote down, DeJounte Murray out there in San Antonio was worthy of a spot. SGA out there in OKC is worthy of a spot as well. Rudy Gobert, as I talked about. Another person I think is on the fringe is Russ. Is Russell Westbrook going to make the All-Star team? Who knows? Listen, the numbers are still All-Star worthy, but, there's a lot of other factors that go into that. There's narratives, there's Twitter narratives, and then there's also coaches' relationships that go into that too, because we know the coaches pick the reserves. So we'll see how they view how Russell Westbrook's season has gone thus far. If they're listening to Twitter, or if they have their own bias towards Russell Westbrook, we'll see how that goes. So that's going to be an interesting spot. Especially in the Western Conference, because they have a lot of guards. Especially they have a lot of elite guards in the Western Conference. So I think definitely Josh should be in there. Definitely Book should be in there. I think personally Luka should be in there. And you got to have Donovan Mitchell. Jazz are third in the West right now. So we'll see where Russell Westbrook fits into that All-Star race, man. It's gonna be real interesting. And also the fact that AD is out, which will cause him to miss an All-Star spot as well. So we'll see how the West shakes up, man. Also, some players on the fringe on the Eastern Conference. I feel like Tyler Hero low-key might get looked at. Leading the league in bench scoring, averaging 25-5, I believe, or 25-4 off the bench. He's been playing excellent. The Heat are at the top of the East, top 3 in the East. So he can get some All-Star consideration because he has been the one constant on the Heat team while they've been dealing with a lot of injuries this season. I'm going to talk about them a little bit later, but so many of their pieces miss time. And Hero has been the one. Bubble Hero is back to play. He's been the one keeping the Heat afloat, so you got to show him some love. Van Vliet, as I talked about before, is probably going to be on the fringe for the East. And Darius Garland as well from the Cleveland Cavaliers. We'll see who the coaches give the most credit for the Cavs' success this season. So we'll see how the East All-Stars shake up. I believe they're going to start announcing next week or the week after. And then it'll be quickly from there. We know the All-Star game is less than a month away. So we'll see how that rocks. But, hey, man, we'll see. All-Star game. Another thing that I wanted to talk about this episode, man, it's time to talk about the Memphis Grizzlies. Like, I've been hinting at it every other episode. I've been talking about it on Twitter. I've been very vocal on Twitter how much I support the Memphis Grizzlies. They've been playing great this season. My young hitters in the league, when they step in the arena, it's about to be a scene when the Grizzlies come to town, man. I love watching this team compete. I can't lie. 4th in the West right now in mid-January. How many people would say that? Grizzlies are top 4 in the West, mid-January, almost All-Star break. Half of the season has been played, while also dealing with their own share of injuries this season. They just finished off an 11-game win streak. They just finally lost, and then they rebounded again, had another win. 11-game win streak. They're top 10 in both offense and defense this season. Also leading the league in 3 different categories this season. A lot of people don't realize they're leading the league in rebounding, leading the league in steals and blocks, the Memphis Grizzlies. So those are all hustle stats. If you look at those stats, rebounds, steals, and blocks, all 3 are hustle stats. So what does that tell you? These boys are gritty. These boys are hungry. These boys are ready to play. And that's why I love watching the Memphis Grizzlies play, man. They have been the epitome of a team when you watch the Memphis Grizzlies play. Everyone on the team contributes in their own way. Some people's role is to score. Some people's role is to hustle. Some people's role is to distribute, to rebound. Everyone has their own individual role, but they come together as a team. And because of that, they're learning how to win. So you got to give the Memphis Grizzlies much love. And what would it be if we talk about the Memphis Grizzlies and we don't talk about Ja Morant? Come on. We got to talk about 12 right now. Come on now. He's carried his playoff performances from last season playing against the Utah Jazz and carried that into this year. He's been excellent and it's carried over this season. And he has a renewed confidence to this season, I see. And increased confidence, I should say, also as well. We can't talk about him enough, and everybody knows I'm a big Ja supporter. Increased his scoring this season to 24 a night while increasing his leadership skills as well. Even though he's been receiving a lot of credit for the Grizzlies' success this season, you always see him mention his teammates. You always see him mention his guys. He always talk about we are a joy to watch to play the Memphis Grizzlies. He always talks about his guys, his teammates. So I love to see that out of Ja Morant, especially at such a young age. That means he understands the value of leadership and understands how important leadership is in this season. And he's been improving on it every single game. Even when he had some controversy, not even controversy, some backlash from the fans when he got hurt and came back and the Grizzlies lost a couple of games. Some people had the audacity in the Grizzlies crowd to say some things to Ja Morant that they didn't need them here. They played better without him. But he took that in stride, and you see he still channeled that and still played team basketball. So we got to give a lot of credit to Ja Morant. And we got to talk about him and his progression this season as a whole. One of the best change of pace guards in the league. Great body control. Probably the best body control guard in the NBA right now. And obviously we know about his hops, but the way he slices through those pick and rolls, changes speeds mid-play, while also attacking the rim viciously, it's been amazing to watch in year 3. And you got to give a lot of love to Ja Morant. You could tell every possession that the game has slowed down a lot more for Ja Morant. His reads are better. He's shooting damn near 60% at the rim as a point guard. Top 5 in points per game in the paint this season. Come on, man. These Grizzlies, they play hard each and every night. And you got to show them love, especially to the supporting cast as well. We could talk about the rest of the team, how they contributed along with Ja Morant. Triple J, Jaren Jackson Jr., he's taking his game up a notch this season, finally being healthy this season. Let's hoping he can sustain that. My boy Desmond Bane, one of my most improved player front runners. He's been lighting up the scoreboard this season. Definitely solidifying himself as a starting 2 guard. I don't know if they're going to bring him off the bench maybe when Dillon Brooks come back. But for now, it seems like he's definitely holding on to that starting 2 guard spot. He, to me, has really been the key to the rise to the Grizzlies this season. He's given Ja Morant, giving the Grizzlies a legitimate perimeter scoring option who can get you almost 20 every night. Dillon Brooks is coming back soon. It will be an excellent counterpart to Bane. You have Bane and Brooks on the perimeter, harassing opposing guards. That'll be an excellent pairing when Dillon Brooks finally gets healthy. Brandon Clark coming off the bench, giving excellent hustle, excellent offensive rebounding. Tillman, Tyus Jones, Melton, all of these guys on the bench in the supporting guys. Steven Adams, I didn't even mention him, lifting trucks in his spare time, has been playing well. So I got to keep it a buck, man. These Grizzlies have been playing excellent this season. And when it's playoff time, this playoffs, I see the Memphis Grizzlies winning a playoff series, man. I can't lie. Last year they were knocking on the door. But this year, I think they're going to break down that door, and I think they're going to win a playoff series. Now, it may depend on who they face, but the only 2 teams they can't beat in this series is Phoenix and Golden State, in my opinion. Other than that, they can beat anybody in the league. I'll leave it at that. Another team that I want to discuss that's been catching my eye and that's been playing excellent this season is the Miami Heat. There's another team that I've been vocal about on Twitter. They have been playing excellent basketball this season, and they are flying under the radar. I don't know why a lot of the national media are not talking about them as a contender, but I'm here to tell you right now, they're mistaken, and they're wrong. The Miami Heat are 100% a contender, and I'll tell you right now, they could beat any team in the league. Trust me, they could beat any team in the league. Currently, they're top 3 in the East right now on the lowest of keys. They played the fewest home games this year. They played the most undrafted players in this season. They're top 6 in both offense and defense. Their big 3 has only played in 15 games together this year. That's Bam Adebayo, Kyle Lowry, and Jimmy Butler. 11-4 in the games where neither Bam or Jimmy Butler has played. Jimmy's having another excellent season on both ends of the floor, averaging 23-5. He's been phenomenal on both ends of the floor, being the leader that he is. Bubba Hero, like I said before, is back, leading the league in bench scoring with over 20 a game. He's been playing excellent. Lowry has been excellent. He's been a slow, steady point guard veteran presence in the backcourt. He's 5th in the NBA in assists. Like I said before, the Heat have been playing a whole bunch of undrafted players, and they've been able to ride that ship. That's because Kyle Lowry is at the helm. He's getting everybody in their right spots, telling everybody where they need to be, and also executing the offensive game plan that Coach Spo has been laying out for the team. And speaking of Coach Spo, we know he's a top 5 coach in the league, top 3 probably. Top 3 coach in the league. Coach Spo is one of my favorite coaches in the league, and he's excellent. So you know those Miami Heat boys, they're going to be playing hard. They're going to be ready to go every single night, and they're always going to be in shape. So we know how Miami gets down, and they've been excellent this season. Bam is returning today as they're playing right now. So that's going to be a step up. They're finally getting their starting center back, their defensive anchor back. You had Omer filling in for him this season. Another undrafted player who's been playing really well for them. Another gem. PJ has been excellent. A steady force. Duncan Robinson has kind of have an up and down year, but he's going to get it together. He's a sharpshooter. Max Strus has been playing well. Gabe Vincent, Omer, like I said before, they got a lot of pieces that you didn't even realize are actually stepping up and actually playing a role, and it's going to play dividends for them toward the end of the season stretch and in the playoffs as well. So another interesting thing, what's happened to Oladipo? We know he's coming back soon. When is he coming back? We don't know. I saw a couple of videos of him working out, look pretty shifty in the gym. If he comes back, when he comes back, come on now, that's another 2-guard coming off the bench. Anything he gives you will be great for them. If he gives you 10 points a night, 10 to 12, 8 to 12, it doesn't matter. He's going to take the Heat to another level. So I think the Heat are going to be excellent with Oladipo coming back. And listen, man, the Heat is legit. I'm tired of telling y'all, the Heat are a legit team. And I think, me personally, when I went on Twitter, I've been vocal about this as well. I said it on a few episodes before. But to me, I think the Heat are my pick to come out the Eastern Conference. I think they are going to be the team that is going to ride the storm. They're going to be the most healthy team. Not that they are always healthy, because they're always hurt themselves. But I think with the war of attrition that goes in this season, by the time it gets to the playoffs, I like their depth. And I think they're playoff ready. They're hungry right now. They got bumped out of the playoffs in a terrible way. They got smoked, actually, by the Bucks last year. They kept it, got their revenge on them. And I think the Heat are ready right now to make their run to go back to the finals since the bubble year. So I really think the Heat are ultimately, they're going to be definitely going to be one of the last 4 teams standing in the Eastern Conference, depending on matchups, depending on who they play. I think they may be one of the few teams that can take out the Brooklyn Nets fully healthy, because they do have some of the defensive horses to also play them, but it's definitely going to be tough. So we'll see what happens with Brooklyn, how they look going forward. With KD coming back, we're going to talk about them in a little bit next. And as far as the Heat goes, man, playoff ready, playoff tested, battle tested. These boys are ready. Jimmy Butler's hungry, have a great leader. They got the troops, they got the coach, they got the right spirit. Listen, don't be surprised if the Heat make the NBA Finals, man. We'll see. Definitely don't sleep on the Heat. I'll tell you about that right now, man. Sure. Another team that I most definitely want to discuss also is the Brooklyn Nets, man. Major news out of Brooklyn right now. KD's going to be out now 4 to 6 weeks with his MCL tear in the knee. The Nets are really in for a tough stretch right now, man. More than half of their next 13 games are on the road. Basically, only 3 games separate the Eastern Conference right now from seeds 1 through 6. So 1 through 6 is a cluster in the East right now. You lose a couple of games, you can end up down there at 5 or 6. You win a couple of games, you can stay up there at 1. The Eastern Conference right now is very shifty, and it's going to tell you a lot about what's going on or the hierarchy in the East in these next couple of weeks leading up to the All-Star break, because this is the time where people start taking games off. Those little knick-knack injuries just start coming to haunt you right now. These are the dog days of the NBA until after the All-Star breaks, when it starts to ramp up again, leading on to the playoffs, man. So, like I said, one major injury could make a major difference in the standings in the Eastern Conference. And this one might be it. Never know. KD right now, like I said, being out 4 to 6 weeks. Can the Brooklyn Nets sustain their place atop the Eastern Conference right now? We're going to have to wait and see, but it's definitely going to be tough. Can James Harden basically carry this team up until the All-Star break? I don't know. I mean, we'll see. He has in the past, not this Brooklyn team, but he has carried that Houston Rockets team. But this is not Houston Rockets James Harden. I'm going to be honest with you. This is Brooklyn Nets James Harden, which is a different variation of him. More of the playmaker, less of a scorer. But we'll see. He's got a lot. This season, he hasn't been MVP level Harden, but he's still giving, sexy stats, 22, 9, and 8. The numbers are always going to look sexy on James Harden. He's still a major impact player. Increased playmaking responsibilities this season. It looks like it might have, maybe taken a little toll on him this season because, hey, I don't see the joy out of James Harden this season like I used to see when he was playing in Houston. It's not the same amount of joy that he's had, even when he first came here to Brooklyn. So this is a little bit different right now. I think the season, it's been a very up and down season, dealing with the whole Kyrie fiasco, KD now being hurt, a lot more playmaking duties on him. The team, it doesn't have the depth as they once thought they did. So it's been a lot that it's been on James Harden. So we'll see how it has impacted him. And I think we're really going to see how it has impacted him going in the next couple of weeks until KD comes back, because they have to rely on James Harden even more. They were already relying on James Harden a little bit to handle a lot of the playmaking duties, but now it's going to be a lot more. So we're going to see what happens with the Nets. Right now, I mean, it seems like maybe James Harden is thinking too much with the ball, maybe, but we don't have, the Nets don't have time for him to be thinking right now, because right now he's been thinking a little bit too much with the ball. He needs to play and go back to attacking, assassin, scoring 30 a night James Harden. Now we'll see if he still has it in him. He maybe doesn't have to score 30, but he probably has to score at least 25 or 27 a night for the Nets to win these games, especially like I said, more than half of these games, upcoming games coming up in this stretch up until an All-Star break are on the road. So you need your stars to play well on the road. You need your stars to put in work on the road. So we'll see if James Harden can he actually rise to the occasion, or we'll see, man. And how are the Nets going to offset losing 30 points a night from Kevin Durant? That's going to be tough. That's tough for any team to endure. But the Nets, they are one of the few teams who can plug in another star who can maybe get you close to that 30 points a night. And we all know that's Kyrie Irving right now. Kyrie Irving is finally back. Thank goodness he's finally back, but a part-time player. Now, there's been a lot of controversy over him being a part-time player, that he's only playing in road games. But I'll talk from what I've seen thus far. Kyrie Irving playing on the road, same old Kyrie Irving. Nasty Kyrie Irving still. Now, I said how they're going to offset those 30 points that you're losing from KD. They could offset 22 or 24 of those, but Kyrie Irving coming in. Now, the problem is that with KD there, they kind of still needed that 22 to 24 points that Kyrie Irving is going to give you with Kevin Durant in order to stay at top of the East. Now, that's going to be supplementary to KD losing that 30 points from Kyrie Irving, but he's going to have to give that. He's going to have to give that and more. He's looked good since his return, but what I need to see from him is that he's going to have to help James Harden a lot more on the playmaking side. He's going to have to morph into a little bit more of a point guard. I know he I know he's handed a lot of his playmaking duties off to James Harden, but we're going to have to see a little bit of point guard Kyrie these couple of games, because they're going to have to stagger those minutes with James Harden and Kyrie Irving. The last couple of games, Steve Nash has been starting a small lineup, with James Harden at the 3, Kyrie and Patty Mills. That may change. I don't know how that's going to work, but we're going to have to see a little bit more from Kyrie, and they're going to need everything from everybody on that roster. Blake Griffin, the corpse of Blake Griffin is going to have to step up. Aldridge, Bruce Brown, all of the Joe Harris may be coming back soon. Hopefully they're going to need their sharpshooter back. But listen, man, the Nets, they are in for a tough stretch going forward without KD for the next couple of weeks. And it's going to be interesting what happens to them and where they end up by the All-Star break. Hopefully they can sustain where they're at. But the East, they're tight. It's close. So we're going to see how the Eastern Conference shakes up in these next couple of weeks, man. And another team in the East that could make up ground while the Nets could slide are the 76ers. I went on Twitter and I talked about them the other day. I call the 76ers the wild card of the East. I call them the wild card of the Eastern Conference this season. Now, since the East, like I said before, they are in a major flux. It could be a lot of shaking and moving. The Bulls are missing Zach LaVine for a few games. Caruso still out. Lonzo Ball's missing a game here and there. One team that I think can capitalize on the East being a little bit in flux is the Philadelphia 76ers. I think they're also a team that's been flying under the radar this season. They've looked pretty good lately, especially in the last month. They're 5th or 6th in the East right now. I like the chemistry that I see from them. Got to talk about Embiid and, of course, the all-star big man center from the Philadelphia 76ers. He's put himself in the MVP race this season, averaging 27 and 10, almost 4 assists, a block a game. He looks healthy. He looks ready to go. I see increased effort out of Joel Embiid this season. Probably has a little bit more fire under his belly with what has been going on with Ben Simmons. Philly has the most road wins in the NBA. That's been flying under the radar. I feel like they fully restructured their offense around Joel Embiid's skill set, and it's paid off for them. This offense finally makes sense with Joel Embiid at the helm. No Ben Simmons in the lineup. It finally makes sense, and the elephant in the room, obviously, is what's missing from their lineup. And that, to me, is why the Philadelphia 76ers is the wild card of the East, because we don't know what's going to happen with that elephant in the room. Ben Simmons could get moved at any time, or he could not get moved at all. We don't know what's going to happen. That's the wild card right now. They have Maxey stepping up in Ben Simmons' role. With that happening, it changes the game on what type of package they should get with Ben Simmons, for Ben Simmons, I should say. We know that Daryl Morey and the Philadelphia 76ers front office, they've been holding out to get a monster package for Ben Simmons. But it's clear to me, and it's probably clear to them, but they're being a little bit stubborn. Ben Simmons, his trade market value, it varies from team to team. You have to really like what Ben Simmons brings to the table, or you're just like, I'm not giving all of that up. It really depends how you view Ben Simmons, and it didn't help how he got smoked out of the playoffs last year. It didn't help how he left the playoffs, and it also doesn't help how he's not really trying to showcase himself this season or trying to help his case to get traded. It also shows, I know I don't want to talk about anybody's mental health because we know he's probably going through issues, but it also shows his mental fortitude in regards to the fans. Now, also, if you're traded for Ben Simmons, you also have to look at your fan bases. And if it goes sour, can Ben Simmons deal with this fan base if it goes a little sour? Because we see he clearly just doesn't want to play in front of the fans. I don't really even think it was an issue with his teammates at all. I feel like it was just an issue between the public perception in Philadelphia of Ben Simmons and what actually went down on the court and what he feels like he can do on the court. So it was a bad exit, a bad loss, ugly playoff loss. Shit like that happens all the time for a lot of players. And it's all on how you bounce back from that. Now, I must say I have been a little bit pretty disappointed in the way Ben Simmons has been handling this whole fiasco. I still feel like he should just man up and get on that court and play, showcase yourself, help out your teammates, show that you still can be a pro and still go out and play. And listen, man, fans are finicky. People are finicky. They're really not going to give a shit once you start winning games. Get on that court. Nobody's expecting you to become a 3-point shooter overnight. They just want the team to win. That's all that was. So, if it's me, if I was Ben, I wouldn't really give a shit about what the fans are thinking right now. And I'm gonna just go out and I'm gonna show them that I'm an all-star. You've been an all-star. You're a perennial defensive player of the year candidate. Go out and show their value. And secretly, you probably still want out. That's cool. You can still ask for a trade. So I just feel like he's handling the situation a little bit wrong. But with that being said, if they trade him, if they move him, Philly could get a lot of pieces back, man. Philly, they could become a very, very, very deep team if they finally trade Ben Simmons by the deadline. So we'll see how that works. I hope they trade him by the deadline because I want to see Philly. I want to see them really move forward, and I really want to see them take that next step. And I don't want them to waste prime Joel Embiid, MVP Joel Embiid seasons like they are right now if they don't trade Ben Simmons this season, because it's not every year that he's healthy. So you really got to take advantage of these type of seasons where Joel Embiid is at his best. So we'll see, man, what the 76ers do with Ben Simmons. We'll see about them going forward because they might be the wild card of the East, man, for real. Also in the East, there was a little trade over the last week. The Knicks finally made a move. Knicks making good moves. Shout out to them, man. Shout out to the Knicks front office for making some good moves. Bad season right now. I don't know what's going on right now. There's a lot of things going on. But good move by the Knicks, trading for Cam Reddish. Basically got him for a couple of garlic knots, 2 Hamilton tickets, pick Kevin Knox. We ain't read about that. Excellent trade for the Knicks. And shout out to them for trying to get that Duke connection started, pairing Cam Reddish with RJ Barrett, the Maple Mamba. Maybe getting Zion. Who knows? I know that's a Knicks fan's pipe dream right now. We'll see. But I like the Cam Reddish trade. He's been looking for a fresh start. I definitely think it's going to work out for him in New York City when he finally gets on the court. And they got him for crumbs. So it's crumbs. They traded for a talented wing. Got to give the Knicks front office some love. And hopefully he can help them with their defense because that's what they need. So we'll see how the Knicks move forward with Cam Reddish. Me personally, I would love RJ to slide back to the 2. Keep Reddish at the 3, Randall at the 4, Mitchell Robinson. My guy Kemba there at the point. We don't know what's going to happen there. We'll see what's going to happen with the Knicks, but we'll see. But the Knicks, great trade for them. Like what they're doing moving forward. I don't know about the playoffs for the Knicks this season. We'll see, man. We still got some time to make up, but whew, I don't like how they looking. I got to bring a couple of my boys on here so we can talk about the Knicks, man, about what's been going on with them this season. Go really dive in depth with the Knicks, man, because I was definitely pissed off about that Kemba shit, but that's neither here nor there. Lakers update real quick, man. Listen, I got to tell y'all right now, the GM is officially activated. After that loss to the Denver Nuggets, a few of these boys need to start counting their days. I'm going to keep it a stack. That was a terrible loss. LeBron over there went on Twitter. He's apologizing to Laker Nation, said it's going to be better. All that means to me is the GM mode is activated. And seriously, man, on a serious note, the chemistry just isn't right over there. They definitely need to shake something up, change something, because some teams, when I look at the Lakers, some teams have too much finger pointing. The Lakers, they don't have any finger pointing. And I think that's the problem right there. That may be the issue. Not enough accountability. Somebody needs to tell someone, listen, I need you to get better. I need you to put more effort. I need you to make smarter reads. Somebody has to yell at somebody on that roster. I'm not going to lie to you. That's what's going to have to be done now for the Lakers because it's the midway point of the season right now and they're under 500. That's ridiculous for a Laker team with this much star quality and this much star power. We'll see what happens with them when AD comes back. He has to be a much better AD, a much more aggressive AD. So we'll see how that rocks for him. And the Lakers, man, they got to avoid that play-in. The number one issue for them, avoid that play-in. Avoid it. We'll see, man. It's the midway point of the season. These are the dog days right now until the NBA All-Star break. The season gets sticky right here. We're going to see what happens soon. Next couple of weeks, I'm going to be bringing in a lot more guests this season. Towards the end of the season, ramping up for the playoffs because definitely know it's about to get sticky in the NBA. Appreciate y'all as always, family. Just wanted to give a quick snippet, a quick snack solo episode. Keep it locked each week. I appreciate y'all as always for listening to the show. Any topics, questions, anything you want to scream at me for, family, call or talk about it line. Leave a voicemail. You already know, 908-718-1592. Keep supporting me. Appreciate y'all listening as always. Follow me on Twitter. You know I love talking shit on Twitter. You know how I do. This is episode 171, family. And we out.